How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And I appreciate everybody that takes time watching my videos. Sidefire Solutions, the makers of bump stocks, are suing the federal government. And let me start off saying, I was never a big fan of bump stocks. I never owned one, never wished to own one. But I believe people that want to own one should be able to have one. No questions asked. And they are not machine guns, and if you attach one to a firearm, it doesn't turn it into a machine gun either. Let's look at a little bit of backstory on bump stocks. Back in mid-2010, the ATF evaluated bump stocks, and they sent a letter to Sidefire Solutions. And they determined the bump stocks are regulated as a firearm part, but not a machine gun. So at that time, they were legal to sell, and they were legal for people to purchase. And then a little more than 7 years later, on October 1st, 2017, a gunman opened fire at the Route 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas, Nevada. He was shooting from a perch across the street in an elevated position in a hotel. And they claim that some of the firearms were equipped with bump stocks. 60 people lost their lives, and between 400 and 500 people were injured. And I know there's still a lot of questions about what happened that night. There's a lot of theories out there, but that's for another video. That's not what this video is about. And 4 days later, after the shooting, there was a lot of people in Congress, including Republicans, that wanted to regulate the bump stocks. And in a statement, the NRA said they believe bump stocks should be subject to additional regulations. And that's one of many reasons why the NRA is where they are today. And 5 days later, on October 10th, 2017, a bipartisan group in Congress introduced legislation to ban bump stocks. But the next day, House Speaker Paul Ryan urged the United States government to restrict bump stocks using regulations. And the day after Christmas in 2017, the ATF published a new rule that would reclassify bump stocks as machine guns, which would ultimately ban them under federal law. And in February of 2018, the president at the time, Donald Trump, sent a memo to the Department of Justice and asked them to dedicate all available resources to come up with a final proposal that would ban bump stocks. And then 10 months later, in December of 2018, the Justice Department announced its final rule that bans bump stocks through the ATF. And I quote, "They're faithfully following President Trump's leadership by making clear that bump stocks that turn semi-automatics into machine guns are illegal." And the final rule banning bump stocks took effect on March 26, 2019. And anyone that owned bump stocks had to destroy them or turn them into the ATF. And immediately after this was announced, Michael Cargill filed a federal lawsuit challenging the ban. But in late November of 2020, a federal district judge ruled against Cargill. And between 2020 and 2023, several other appeals courts upheld that ruling. But on January 6 of 2023, a federal appeals court strikes down the bump stock ban. And then the case finally went to the Supreme Court. And on June 14th, 2024, in a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled the ATF exceeded its authority when it banned bump stocks. No surprise there. And the federal law banning the bump stocks was no more. And as I mentioned earlier, Sidefire Solutions, who was the maker of bump stocks, is now suing the federal government. And they want to seek justice for citizens. And they want them to uphold constitutional property rights. And they're challenging the confiscation of bump stocks under the Takings Clause of the Fifth Amendment. And they want to hold the government accountable of depriving law-abiding citizens of their personal property without just compensation. And Sidefire says, bringing this case to light seeks not only to address its own losses, but to advocate for the rights of U.S. citizens who are forced to surrender their legally purchased accessories. Sidefire went on to say, the lawsuit underscores the importance of protecting citizens from overreach and preserving the balance between public safety and constitutional freedoms. Sidefire Solutions contends that this issue transcends firearms policy, touching on broader principles of due process and property rights. The government cannot simply bypass the Constitution to impose its will. This case is not just about bump stocks. It's about standing up for the rights of millions of Americans whose property that can be taken without just cause or compensation. I certainly hope that Slide Fire Solutions wins their lawsuit against the federal government. And of course they should be compensated for the product that they had to destroy themselves. But also I think they should be compensated for future sales that they weren't able to do because the ATF banned the bump stocks. And also the people that own bump stocks should be compensated because they either destroyed them or turned them over to the ATF. And this should be a reminder to the federal government, especially the ATF, that you might get your way banning bump stocks or coming up with other ridiculous rules, not laws, when it comes to firearms. But then sooner or later, they will lose, and we will get our Second Amendment rights back. As always, I would really like to hear your thoughts about today's video in the comment section. And if you enjoy videos like this, and also you want to help the channel out and help it to continue to grow, I just ask you to take a few seconds of your time to help the channel out by liking, sharing, and subscribing, and hitting the post notifications on all the videos that you watch on this channel. And I really would appreciate it if you did so. And I invite all of you to come back and watch my next video.